The tools that we'll be using to make this very vanilla cake: measuring spoons, measuring cup, an egg beater, and a mixing bowl. Additional items that we will be using to make our very vanilla cake is parchment paper, a 13 by 9 single cake pan, and a rubber spatula. So before we begin any baking or mixing of the ingredients, I want to show you how I line my pan. I go ahead and pull paper out that's about 2 inches longer on each side of the pan. Then I go ahead and take one end and fold it down and make sure that I find the center. I have to pull it over a little, I can, and then I use my fingers to score the paper for the bottom. That'll help hold it down. It's a little cumbersome, but it can be done. Then, after I've scored it, I can go ahead and fold it. And in my corners, you'll notice that I'll have puckering, which is okay. And we can take that and fold it down as well. This parchment paper works really good in the oven for baking. And cleanup is a breeze. Go ahead and do that all the way around. And after we mix our ingredients, I'll show you how to put it in to the pan. We're also using an oven. Before we begin, we want to turn our oven to 350. Wait for the preheat and the oven to say that it's ready to be used. Preheat on mine is showing the light, oven saying that the oven is on. When the preheat goes off, the oven will be at 350 for temperature. The ingredients that we will be using is 2 sticks of butter, 4 teaspoons of vanilla, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of salt, 4 eggs, 1 cup of milk, 1 3/4 cup of sugar, and 3 cups of flour. If your butter is at room temperature, that is the best thing. But since I just pulled mine out of the refrigerator, I'm going to take it and put it into a glass measuring cup. This one I have is for 2 cups, and I'm going to stick both of the sticks in there and microwave it for 15 seconds. This is how it will look before I stick it into the microwave. My first attempt at 15 seconds was good enough, so I'm going to add an additional 15 seconds. Do this until it's soft, not totally melted. This is what it should look like. It's not totally melted, but the butter is soft and it has melted quite a bit. Pour the butter into your bowl and use a spoon to empty out whatever is left behind. Next, add 1 3/4 cup of sugar to your bowl. Next, add your egg beater and start to mix the butter and the sugar. until completely mixed. Phew, that took a while. All right, next we're going to add 4 eggs. One, 2, 3, and 4. Go ahead and mix yours up. I will now. Next, we're going to add the 3 cups of flour, the 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and the 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Place it into the bowl and then go ahead and mix it. Start slowly and then I'll show you what to do next. So here you can see I have my flour, my baking powder, and salt is right here on the top. But what I want to do before I really start mixing it good is kind of mix that baking powder and salt with the existing flour. Then I'm going to go ahead and start to turn this just a little bit. And you'll notice how tight it is. Of course, since I'm on camera, I can't grip it the way I need to. So what we're going to do is we're going to start adding the rest of our ingredients, which is our milk. You want to add a 1/2 cup first. We're going to mix that in and then add our 2nd cup. Now for our last ingredient, our vanilla. We're going to add 4 tablespoons of vanilla. This will make the cake super delicious, kind of like a warm vanilla type smell and flavor. There's 3, here's 4. Let's go ahead and mix that in, and then I'll show you how I prepare my pans before we stick it in the oven. After we've mixed our batter, you can see how stiff it is. This is okay. It doesn't have to be runny like a lot of cake recipes that we're familiar with. So what we're going to do is use our spatula and go around the edges. Kind of help separate it. Then you want to take your bowl and pour it directly into the center. If your bowl is too heavy, you can do like I do and lean it against yourself, and that'll help work out the dough cake batter into the pan. Let me empty out the rest and I'll be right back with you. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take the batter and spread it out to the corners. And then I'm going to try and even out the size so that it all cook evenly. Okay, now you can also take and help flatten it some. Alright. Let's get the excess batter off of the spatula. And smooth that in just a tiny bit. Now we are ready to stick this in the oven. So now that my oven has been preheated, I am ready to stick this in the oven. The rack in the oven is on the 2nd level up from the bottom. I have placed the cake pan into the center of the rack. Go ahead and push it in. And we're going to let this cook for 30 to 40 minutes or until golden brown on the top. Now don't peek while it's cooking. Let it cook for at least a half an hour before you go in and see how it's doing. Anytime you open the oven, it will cause a small vibration that will not allow the cake to rise. It could sink in the center. So just be patient and it'll be perfect when it comes out. While your cake is in the oven cooking, don't forget to do your dishes. I had to do a peeky to show you how the cake is cooking. You see this? After 20 minutes, it's doing very well. So we probably have about another 10 minutes, maybe 15, before it's fully done. As you can see, our cake is a golden brown. Let me show you how to check to see if it's done. Make sure you use a pot holder. You don't want to burn yourself. So let's go ahead and pull it out. Gosh, this smells good. Okay, now I use a butter knife. Go ahead and go right straight down into the center. Pull it back up, and it's clean. There's no sign of batter, just a little bit of steam. That means our cake is done. Let's go ahead and pull it out of the oven and place it on top to let it cool some. With our cake on top of the oven, the next thing we want to do is come on over here and turn it off. Now we're going to let this thing cool for about 10 to 15 minutes before we pull it out of the pan. So my cake has cooled down here for about 20 minutes. And here's my platter. Isn't it pretty? Please say yes. So what we're going to do is take the platter and put the right side of the platter onto our cake and go ahead and flip it upside down. And I'm going to take it and center it a little bit and then lift the pan off. And now what we have is the paper. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the paper. And throw this away. No fuss, no mess. My kind of cooking. I'm not going to frost this. I'm going to make a suggestion that you make your own frosting, or I will come up with one later on. But what I like to do is take a knife and cut off the very top so that it doesn't have that end of the cake flavor, and enjoy. So until the next time, my name is Garnet. Thank you for joining me on learning how to make this very vanilla cake. Bye-bye.